let's talk about a name that, for many, means one thing: villain. Cao Cao, or Zhou Chou. He's the ultimate bad guy in one of China's greatest stories, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. For centuries, that's been the popular image. But is that really the whole story? I think we should dig a little deeper. You see, for generations, pop culture has painted a really clear, really simple picture of Cao Cao. In traditional Chinese opera, he's the guy with the white face paint. And that's not just a random choice, it's a code. It tells the audience everything they need to know right away. This guy is cunning, he's deceitful, and you definitely can't trust him. He is the villain personified. But then you get this, a completely different take from one of China's most famous modern writers, Lu Xun. He looked at the same man and said he was, and I quote, "at least a hero." Wow, that completely flips the script, doesn't it? So how on earth can one person be both the biggest villain and a hero? And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. Was he the monster of the stories, the hero that some historians see, or was the real Cao Cao something way more complex and frankly way more interesting? We're going to try and peel back all those layers of myth and find the actual man underneath. First things first, to get a handle on Cao Cao, you have to understand the world that created him. And let me tell you, this was not a peaceful time. It was an age of total collapse, absolute chaos, and for the ambitious, it was an age of opportunity. The end of the 2nd century was just brutal. The Han Dynasty, which had stood for 400 years, was completely falling apart. A massive rebellion, called the Yellow Turban Rebellion, just shattered the government's authority. And in that power vacuum, warlords started popping up everywhere, carving out their own little kingdoms. This was the chaotic stage where Cao Cao would make his grand entrance. Now this was an absolutely brilliant political move. While all the other warlords were just fighting over land, Cao Cao played a totally different game. He found the runaway Emperor Shan, who had no real power, and took him in. By protecting the emperor, he effectively controlled the imperial government. Suddenly, he wasn't just another rebel. He could issue orders in the emperor's name, giving him a powerful air of legitimacy that none of his rivals could touch. So, with that political legitimacy in his pocket, Cao Cao set out to do what seemed impossible: bring some kind of order back to the chaos. And he was going to do it with his military, in a campaign that would make him the master of the North. This is the moment, the one that would define his entire career. The Battle of Guandu wasn't just another fight. No, this was for all the marbles. The winner would basically control all of northern China. Everything was on the line. And here's the thing. On paper, Cao Cao should have been crushed. His rival, Yuan Shao, had this gigantic army that dwarfed his own forces. But, numbers aren't everything. Cao Cao's soldiers were tough, disciplined, battle-hardened veterans. And he was, by far, the better strategist. And he proved it. Through incredible, daring raids and just plain clever tactics, he exploited all of his enemies' weaknesses. And against all odds, he pulled off a stunning, absolutely decisive victory. This one battle changed everything. After Guandu, it was like a domino effect. His rivals in the north just couldn't stand against him. And within just 7 years, he had done this monumental thing. He unified the vast, broken northern plains. There was no debate anymore. He was the most powerful man in China. Okay, but unifying the North took more than just being a military genius. It took a very unique personality. And this is where those simple labels, hero, villain, they just completely start to fall apart. I mean, just look at this contrast. On one side, you've got the villain. He could be incredibly ruthless. He ordered a horrifying massacre in one province after his father was killed there. And he's credited with that chilling line, "I would rather betray the world than the world betray me." But then, you have the other side, a brilliant leader, a celebrated poet, a man who famously said he valued talent and ability over your family name, which was a revolutionary idea back then. And he wasn't just some cold, calculating machine. The historical records tell us he was a man of deep, powerful emotions. He supposedly wept uncontrollably for his bodyguard, Diane Wei, who died saving his life, and for his top advisor, Guo Jia. See, that's not the one-dimensional villain from the opera. That's a complicated human being. It's so interesting. Modern business schools and leadership courses actually study Cao Cao. They've even got a name for his style, opportunistic leadership. It basically means he was the ultimate pragmatist. He wasn't so worried about traditional ideas of good and evil. He was focused on what worked. He could be vicious one minute and generous the next. It all depended on what the situation demanded to get him closer to his goals. So, after all that, we're right back where we started. How are we supposed to remember this guy? A unifier and a tyrant, a poet and a warlord? The final verdict from history is, well, anything but simple. He didn't leave behind one legacy. He left behind a whole bunch of them. For millions of people, he's forever that white-faced villain from the novel. For historians, he's the guy who ended decades of war in the North and set up a new dynasty. For literature fans, he's a fantastic poet. For strategists, he's a timeless case study. All of these are the real Cao Cao. So in the end, we're left with this question. Maybe the labels hero and villain just don't work for someone like Cao Cao. Maybe he was simply a man perfectly, maybe even terrifyingly made for his times. A force of nature who brought order to chaos using any and every tool he had. The real question isn't whether he was good or bad. It's how one person could possibly be so many different things all at once.